In the winter of 1987, a 76-year-old woman stepped into an elevator in Limassol, Cyprus. She wouldn't be seen again for 6 days. She didn't know it yet, but she was about to enter a battle for her life and set a record for human endurance that would shock the world. This is the true story of Kively Papajohn, a story of isolation and the terrifying reality of being trapped in a tomb made of steel. 6 days, 144 hours, with no one to hear her screams. Limassol, 1987, a city bustling with holiday energy. But for Kively Papajohn, it was a place of new beginnings. After 42 years in Manhattan, New York, Kively had returned to her birthplace to find peace in her retirement. She moved into a modern building in the heart of the shopping district, but there was a hidden danger. The building was almost entirely empty. She was the only resident. The other apartments stood vacant, waiting for tenants that hadn't yet arrived. In Manhattan, she had used elevators thousands of times. They were a part of the rhythm of her life, reliable, invisible. Kively wanted a quiet life in Cyprus, a peaceful end to a long journey. She had no idea the silence she sought would become her greatest enemy. December 28, 1987. The shops had just reopened after Christmas. Kively had gone out for simple supplies: bread, vegetables, fruit. She stepped into the small elevator car, intending only to reach her third-floor apartment. It was a journey that should have taken seconds. The doors closed. The hum of the motor began. For a few moments, everything was normal. Then, a jolt, a screech of metal on metal, and then, total stillness. The elevator had failed. It was stuck between floors, suspended in the dark shaft of a silent building. At first, there was confusion, a simple malfunction. Surely the doors would open. Surely someone would come. She pressed the buttons, once, twice, dozens of times. She rang the alarm, but there was no sound from outside, no response. She shouted for help, her voice echoing in the small steel box. But the building was a tomb. No one was there to hear her. Outside, the world went on. Holiday traffic roared on NX Artesius Street, but inside, there was only the sound of her own heartbeat. She was 76 years old, trapped in a space so small she couldn't even lie down. The realization began to set in. She was completely alone. She looked at her shopping bag. It was her only lifeline. A few tomatoes, some cucumbers, a loaf of bread. This was her world now. She began to ration. A single slice of tomato, a small piece of cucumber. She knew she had to make it last. She didn't know how long. She avoided the bread at first. It was too dry. She needed the water from the vegetables to survive. She was fighting a war against dehydration. The first night arrived. The temperature dropped. The silence deepened. She sat in the dark, waiting for a dawn that seemed an eternity away. Day 2. The light returned, but the help did not. She spent the hours banging on the walls, shouting until her throat was raw. She could hear the muffled sounds of cars, people, life. They were only feet away, yet they might as well have been on another planet. Her family wasn't worried. She had told them she was visiting Paphos for a few days. They thought she was safe. They thought she was away. By the third day, the physical collapse began. Her legs, forced into a cramped position for 72 hours, began to swell dangerously. Standing was no longer an option. Her hands were raw. She had banged on the doors until her strength failed. Now, she could only wait and pray. She prayed to the Virgin Mary. She turned inward, seeking a strength that the physical world could no longer provide. The elevator had become her chapel. She described it as a tomb, a living burial. The world above was gone. There was only the cold, the dark, and the weight. Day 4. Time began to lose its meaning. Day bled into night. The hunger was gone, replaced by a strange, heavy lethargy. Her breathing slowed. Her body was entering a state of hibernation. Every calorie from her small ration of tomatoes was being used to keep her heart beating. She entered a trance, a psychological defense against the horror of her situation. She was no longer Kively Papajohn. She was simply a spark of life in a steel box. 120 hours. The human body is resilient, but it has its limits. Kively was reaching hers. She was barely conscious, drifting in and out of awareness. In the silence, the only sound was her heart, slow, steady, refusing to stop. It was a rhythmic defiance of death. In Paphos, her niece was growing concerned. Kively had never arrived. The assumption of safety was beginning to crumble. The calls were made. The truth was revealed. Kively was missing, and the family knew exactly where she had last been seen. January 2nd, 1988. The rescue squad arrived. They entered the building, unaware that the woman they were looking for was only feet away. They broke into her apartment first. They expected to find her there. Perhaps a fall, perhaps worse. But the rooms were empty. From the darkness of the shaft, a voice, faint, ragged, but alive. Kively had heard the rescuers, and she would not let them leave. They found the lift, stuck between floors, a steel cage that had held its prisoner for 144 hours. They forced the doors open, a flood of light, air, and the world rushed into the darkness. Kively was no longer alone. She was in critical condition, severe dehydration, shock, her body at the absolute edge of survival, but she was alive. Doctors said she wouldn't have survived another day. Her survival was nothing short of a miracle, a testament to the power of the human spirit. The recovery was long, the physical wounds healed, but the psychological scars of those 6 days would remain forever. Kively Papajohn had broken a world record. Not by choice, but by necessity, she had endured the impossible. She abandoned her quiet life in Cyprus. The isolation was too much to bear. She returned to the noise and elevators of Manhattan, back to the family she loved. Kively lived for another 8 years. She passed away in 1996, surrounded by her children and grandchildren, a survivor until the very end. The elevator still stands, a silent reminder that survival is often just a matter of waiting. One more minute. One more hour, one more day. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is simply refuse to let go. This was the story of Kively Papajohn, a testament to the endurance of the human heart.